All right, so now we will start seeing a few important methods, okay, in activities. The most important methods are OBJ, object related, okay. So this actually comes with several versions of it. So there is OBJ open. So OBJ open is one such method. OBJ open by handle, right? OBJ save, okay. OBJ, there are plenty of version of OBJ methods which are available. But first, let's try to understand these three methods. Okay. So OBJ open is a method through which we fetch the data from the database class. So you specify a class. So from the database, you fetch the method based on certain conditions. Okay. So you will say fetch all the employees where manager is based, right? Things like that. You will have to specify the method. So this is another way, just like in the report definition you were writing the query. This also internally it gets translated into a query. But here we are not using report definition. We are directly loading the data in the activity, right? So when you load the data, so you got to put it on some page. You got to put the data into the clipboard in a structured way, right? So we will specify a page, and since this is obj open, basically, so you will have to provide the primary key. This opens one record, okay. There's obj browse. Now obj browse actually is something where again we actually fetch a list of record based on certain condition, but this results more than one record, okay. So you got to have a page list kind of things to store the result, just like you were doing in the databases list type. Obj open by handle is something where we pass the unique handle for that object. So there is something called pzins key, a property that holds the core primary key for the Pega. For every record that you create, either case or any data instance, everyone has pzobj key. So if you have the PO handle, we call it handle. If you have that handle of any work object or any data class, you can open that record using that handle. So that's where we use obj handle. Obj save is something that we use to save the data back in the database. All right. So here, if you look at that, we already have customer database, right? We open that. Right. I don't have any data, so let me just enter some record. Okay. So these two records are the. Don't worry about that. Okay. Maybe we will start with obj save first. We will try to save it. There will be record, and then we will try to fetch it. Okay. So let's create an activity. Let's create an activity because we will be using that activity in our case. So for the demo purpose to plug in somewhere in the case itself. So we will create the activity in this class. Okay. So right click on that class and create, and activities are of technical type. Okay. So the first thing in the technical category you see is activity. So we will say demo activity. This is the class. Let's create and open. All right. So this is how an activity looks like. Okay, first thing is that every step can be labeled. Okay, and that is very important for go to functionality. Sometimes we want to go to another step, right? So that's where we use label. All right, if you want to loop, you click on the loop and select which kind of loop are you going to use. If you want to do this step processing conditionally, so you specify a when condition and it will only be executed if the one condition passes. And that's where in this one you specify the method, what processing you want to do. Okay, step page, on which page, right? On which page you want to do that processing, and in it brief description what you're doing. Okay, so let's first create a page. So we will create a temp cust page, okay, on the clipboard, temporary purpose. All right, and this will be of type our CV data customer. Okay, all right, CV data customer. So now this page will be created when you refer it, or you can do a page new. There's a method called page new that initializes a page. Okay, so this page will be created temporarily on the clipboard. You can access all the property there. So you can, if you are trying to insert, right, so you can use the temp cust page, put all the record, basically all the properties for the customer, and then save it. Obj save this page, and this will automatically save in the database. So let's do that. So first you need to set the properties on the page, right? So that you do using property set method in the Pega activity. So there is property set method. Which page? So if you do not initialize the page and you refer it, Pega automatically initializes it. Otherwise, what you can do is you can do a page new. Okay, so Pega will create the page that you have set. Right? Anyway, it is not important always. You can always refer directly in the page new. If the page does not exist on the clipboard, the Pega is going to create it. Page new is going to reset that. If there was a data, if the page existed earlier, it will reset it. Property set or any other method directly on the page without doing page new will persist the record those were there earlier unless you override it. Okay, so let's set things. So I'm going to set, see, all the properties of that class. CID, I'm going to hard code it. C1 work party URI is also something that we need to specify. Party work URI, I think. Party URI, yeah. I'm going to put the same value here too. Okay, so at the moment we are just initialize. You can read it from the properties as well. So we will learn as we go along, right? This is hard coded at the moment. Just trying to demo how to save the data using activity. The first name, email one, okay. Last name, let's say DOB. Okay, let's set last name. All right. So now a page on the clipboard will be ready with that name. Okay. All you will have to do is first obj method, that is Obj-Save. Obj-Save. Which page? This page. So it will save the page. So it will read the class from the definition, and it will find, it will go and store, create an instance of this class. So basically it's internally going to insert a row in the table. Okay, you can do a right now. Right now means that the data will be committed immediately. Otherwise, the data gets committed with the Pega's transactional commit. That might be taking a little time. You might have seen that when you are using stable database, that sometimes data does not reflect right away. It takes a minute or so sometime. And I mean less than a minute, but it doesn't reflect directly. If you do it right now, it will immediately go there. But this will issue a warning that okay, you shouldn't be doing that because that might conflict with the other changes that the Pega is trying to say. Okay, so we will not do that. We will do that for the demo purpose, and let's save it. So this activity is independent. This activity is independent. It will create a page, it will put the data there and save it. Okay, if you look at the warnings, first of all, obj method should not be used, and especially with the right now option should not be used. So obj save, we created a temp cust page on the clipboard. We did not remove it after the processing, so that will remain there in that thread, right? This is also something that we should not do. We should always remove. Why I'm not removing it? Because I want to demo you guys how the data will be looking like on the clipboard. Use of the activity should be limited. Like I said, we shouldn't be using activities wherever possible. Okay, I mean this entire thing we can do through the savable database. That's why we discuss savable database in such a great detail. Okay, use of activity for this kind of operation should be limited. All right, let's run it. So if you run it, it will create a page on the clipboard in the thread, in this standard thread, and it will save the data. Okay, so there was an error. Let's trace it to find out where the error is. Maybe some important properties are missing. Not deprecated. It's something that that actually tries to commit before the Pegasus transactional commit happens. So that might create conflict with other things. Okay? So cannot save. It belongs to fully exposed table this in the database column, but the instances has properties which do not. Okay. So these properties are not there in the table. All right. So that's why it is not able to save it. So at the moment, what I will do, I will remove these properties. Okay. So what was this? Var party URI, last name and email. Okay. So operation was performed successfully. Now, if you look at the clipboard of this run execution, so there should be a temp cust page. See, and it is now probably written in the database. See, right? I mean, if you compare it with the Sable database, you got to do a lot of configuration there. This is quite easy, but this is something that we shouldn't be using. Okay. All right. Now let's try to fetch. Okay. So after doing the processing, you are supposed to be cleaning up that page that is no longer going to be required. Okay. So that you do not occupy a lot of memory. So for that, we have page remove method. Page remove. Okay. You can specify multiple pages here that we need to remove. So we will just remove this one. Okay. All right. So this is about saving the data. Now let's talk about um, retrieving the data. Okay. So what we will do is we will comment the page new, or let it be. We will do obj open. Oh, before that, just 1 second. I wanted to check one thing. Run it. will create another record, so I will say C2. Otherwise, there will be primary key problem. Oh, we removed it. We have a page removed, so it would have gone. Okay, that's fine. All right, so now we are going to read the data. Okay, so for that we have obj open method. All right, so which class we want to open? The this class, right? Customer class. Do we want to take the lock? If you have configured lock, we don't have configured it, so that's okay. Now you need to provide the cust ID. So I'm going to open C1, okay? And where are we going to put it? On the temp cust curve. Okay, I'm going to comment. This is how you comment in activity. I'm going to comment this method. All right. So it will load the C1, and then I'm going to update the full first name to Mahesh one. Okay. Rest of the things will remain same. And then I'm going to save it. Okay. So I'm going to open this class, put that instance on the temp cust, right? And then update the first name and then save it back. Mm. Oh, CID, sorry. All right, let's run it. Success. Now, if you open the clipboard, temp cust, the name is updated, right? Same should be reflected in the database as well. Hmm. Did I save? Yeah. Okay. Let me run it one more time. C1 is correct, right? Yeah. With the tracer on, run. So in the tracer, if you look at, so it did a page new at this point of time. This should be empty, right? So there is no data on the customer tab. When it executed obj open, this is the data that it got. Okay. Then it did a property set. So after property set, this is the data that we have, right? And then we did a obj save, and we did a obj save on this one. So first name should be reflecting actually. There was no error, so it should be reflecting here. What? Let me see that in the database directly. So which class it is mapped to? Which table? All right, so let's run the query. Updating. That is okay. Obj-Save is running properly, and this is running on this. Oh, okay, fine. I think we haven't acquired the lock. So let's go back there and take the lock on that record and release on commit, and let's run it again. Right. Okay. So if you are opening something to modify, you need to take lock on that. Okay. We took the lock and then we were able to modify this. All right. So this is about obj open, right? Now, if you 1 second, let me just run this again just to see that page. So see, this is the PZINS key. It's usually the class name plus primary key. That's the PZINS key. Now, if I have that PZINS key, I can actually use Obj-Open-By-Handle too to open the record. Obj-Open-By-Handle, and here you will have to specify the instance of that. Okay. This is the PZINS key. Lock again. If you want to update it, release on command, and you specify the page that will tell us which class and where to put it. Save it. Now this time I'm going to update the value to minus 2. Okay. Run it. Okay. Do we have, this is commented, this is fine. Run it. Trace. Sorry, I did delete by handle. My bad. Should be open by handle, and I think okay, obj open by handle. Let me see if that record exists or is it deleted. There. Okay. Now run it. Okay, still error. Let's see. Open by handle, and what it says? Unable to open an instance using CV data customer C1. Why so? What about C2? Okay, there were probably space or something. So C2 it was able to do that. Let's see. So it should have updated basically the name to Mahesh 2. See, okay, and it's not just the data or anything. You can actually open the work object as well. So for example, this is a case and there are several cases created, right? So for example, if you want to update something on this work class, okay, so this is SBA 1014. So this is ID, this is primary key. You can use Obj-Open to open it, or you can just use the handle. So that's going to be the class name plus primary key. Okay. So if you look at the PZ or PXOB, sorry, PZINS key, this is the one. You can open the case itself and change any property value or anything. So let me demo that as well. So this time I'm going to open this work object. Okay. The class has to be changed, of course. So this is the class of the page. So this time we will be using this page. Okay. So we are doing new. This is commented, so that's fine. We are opening it and then we are setting. Okay, it's not taking the context yet, so that's fine. Okay, so there is an out of the box property py node. We are going to set the py node there. Okay, and then save it. That's it. Py node should be small. Let's run it. So we did it. Now, if you go there and open this case, look at the clipboard, py work page, the property py node. See? So behind the scene, running an activity, you can access case, data, or anything. Right? We run a lot of background processing for such purposes to update something in the case on regular basis. Right? We often get such requirements. So this is where the OBJ methods come into the picture. So we have learned so far Obj-Open, Obj-Open-By-Handle, Obj-Save. There's Obj-Browse as well. Okay. So let me demo that now. I'm going to comment this one too, and Obj-Browse. So here I'm going to use the customer again. So Obj-Browse is going to fetch more than one record. All right. It's going to fetch more than one record. So when you get a list, so your class is going to be code Pega list. Remember? So code Pega, and it will have multiple results, px results, right? Every page class will be of the object that you are opening, cb data customers, right? I mean, this is not necessarily you need to specify here for this demo purpose, but let's do that. So the page where we are going to put the result is again temp. Okay, we will just do that. Temp cust, that's where it is going to fetch. The class that we are going to load is cb data customer. Maximum record, how many record we want to fetch, you can limit that to any value. Get row key, just like the database data report definition, this is also kind of same thing but in a different view. Okay, so we will load the pjdins key, that is called the handle or row key, and this is where you apply the filter. So I'm going to apply py first name. So it starts with Mahesh. Okay, so what are the field that you want to specify? So if you put value only, that means that property is going to be fetched only, no, not in used in the filter. Okay, so let's fetch cid, that will be value only, select that. Okay, now we are not going to do any operation on that, we are not going to update anything at the moment. I just want to show you guys how the result looks like. Okay, first, so run it. Okay, there's always an error. Okay, PZ key is not a column, so we will just uncheck that we don't need that. Okay. All right. So it successfully loaded that. Now let's look at the clipboard. So temp cast, now this is code Pega list. If you total number of results 2, see whatever we selected CID and first name, right? Okay. Now if you want to update, let's say I want to add something in every result that I have retrieved. Okay. So I will have to loop on the result, right? Correct? We need to loop in the result. So we do the property set, but we will loop on every embedded page, every page that's there in the tempcast.px result. Px result 1, 2, 3, right? So we will loop on this px result and we will just update the py, not py, no, we will just update the first name. Py px results. No, sorry. Px results dot. One second. So whatever is there in the first name, we will just append 1 in that. Okay. All right. Now let's run this. So after you did it, for individual page, we will still have it commented. Save. Success. Let's see on the clipboard. It's not written in the database yet, right? Right? Okay. Now let's try to save it. Yes. So it gave an error because you're trying to save a list. So you need to specify a page. Okay, because you're trying to save a page that is of instance of code Pega list, right? So here in the loop itself, okay, so I can add a child here and I can do Obj-Save for every record, current, right, current page. So remember this child will come only in the loop, right? So we will do um, actually if I do so when we are running this Obj-Save, it's going to take the current context anyway. Let's see. Trace. Okay, we already have the tracer running. So first one it tries to save. Okay, it is read only, right? Because in the browse we loaded it only for the read only. This is a kind of report definition. So you got to open the record one by one and then save it. Okay, so let's create one more temporary page to hold it for individual records. Customer. All right, so what we will do is we are looping through that, and we will set a parameter key, and that is something that we will say .cid. That's the key, right? That's the primary key. Then in that first step we will do obj open, obj open on this page tc by using, okay, so class is going to be cb data customer. We will take the lock and we will release the lock on commit. Property is going to be cid equals to the lock that we have, right, in this one. And then for every record we will do an update, that is property set, and in the property set, one second, sorry, where is the page name? Yeah, this one. We will set py first name equals to first name plus 3. Okay, and then we will save the individual pages. All right, so what we are doing here, let's see. First we got the list of record based on certain criteria, right? Then for every record we are looping. In the loop we are opening them one by one. Okay, in the read on, in the save, in the update mode, right, by acquiring the log. Then we are setting the first name, updating the first name, then we are saving them individually. Okay, this is tc, right? This is the class. Oh, sorry, tc class is this one. Okay, let's run it. Success. Let's look in the table. Okay, it's not showing. Let's see. So we did that. Okay, we did not commit it immediately, right? So it's not committing that change. Now let's run it again. Okay, records are updated. So see, earlier we did 3, appended 3. That was still in the save. I mean, it was still there to be updated in the database. You again did another operation and then committed. So the previous save was also saved. Okay. All right. So this is basically some key obj method on the activity. Okay.